just knew that was going to happen. How many times have I said on here that when we got to the World Cup, you are going to see an influx, a huge increase, a huge uptake in players that want to play for the national team, and that's exactly what's happening. Two more names to consider now in the form of Ethan Mbappe, the brother of Kylian Mbappe, the younger brother. They, of course, played together at PSG, although Ethan is now a sort of a central midfield player at Lille, and Kylian, of course, has gone to Real Madrid. And Maxim Lopez, who again has an older brother, Julian Lopez, that has played for Algeria before, but now Maxim Lopez playing for, ironically, PSG's rivals, Paris FC. He said he would accept a call-up as well. Now, these are two very different situations here. I'll tell you why. Ethan Mbappe is a young and upcoming midfielder. I know he's the brother of Kylian, and of course, having Mbappe number 6 on the back of an Algeria shirt is quite spectacular. It's a bit like the Zidane in goal, isn't it, really? And, of course, Mbappe is half Algerian through his mother's side, Faisal Amari, the former Algerian women's handball player. And, of course, they are from Cameroon on their dad's side. But I've not seen Ethan Mbappe linked to playing for Cameroon. So the latest rumour is that this is after the AFCON. This is not for the AFCON. I think you can't really bring in anyone now for AFCON. It's far too last minute. I know Belmadi did that with Andy Delors and the rest is history, but it's still a very risky thing to do. Looks like we're going to target Ethan Mbappe after the AFCON. So clearly Ethan Mbappe doesn't think he's ever going to get in that French squad. Although knowing Didier Deschamps, he'll call up Ethan Mbappe just so Algeria can't, to be quite frank with you. But it's an interesting one because that midfield area is still quite weak, and I think if Banassa's fit, he's obviously going to be there, but Badawi and Zerouki and Zorgan and Bentala, these guys, there's always question marks over them. Can Ethan Mbappe get in there and really make a claim for one of those positions in the middle? It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I would certainly welcome it. This is not what we call one of the opportunists. He's not 28 and never playing for the French team and coming to the Algerian team. This would be someone coming literally as a teenager, ready to play for Algeria, which you've got to respect. So if Ethan Mbappe wants to come and play for Algeria, 100% welcoming him with open arms. You'd be stupid not to want him in the national team. Doesn't mean he's got to come and start every game, but if he wants to come and play for the national team, let's see what he's got, because I tell you now, he's not going to be worse than Zerouki or Zorogan. I'll tell you that. So please, Faf, if you can get Ethan Mbappe, not just from a marketing perspective, because the Mbappe's having a player in the Algeria team, and we've seen now the Zidanes have done that. It would be monumental around the globe. However, Maxim Lopez, I can understand people's sort of hesitations. It's a very different situation. What is he, 27, 28? How many times have we talked about Maxim Lopez in the past, in his prime, Marseille, Sassuolo, and never came to fruition. Now, Maxime is claiming, who of course is Algerian again through his mother's side, is that he said he's never been approached. I don't know how true that is, because if Julian Lopez, his older brother, has played for the national team before, why would Maxime not be approached? I think it's quite clear, and he can deny it as much as he wants. Awar admitted it, but Maxime, you can't deny this, Maxime. You waited to see if the French call-up ever came, and it never came. Yassine Adli is the same. Yassine Adli has come out and said, look, I want to play for the French team, and of course, it's not happened. He's now in Saudi Arabia, and I think he's going to stick by that. And there's an element of respect there. We have to respect the honesty, where he's come out and said, look, that's my dream to play for these guys. Maxime is not far off 30, now wanting to play for the Algerian team. I can understand people's frustrations there. You cannot just come along and say, oh, by the way, now I want to play for you guys. It doesn't really work like that. So I could see a bit of a backlash if Maxim Lopez came along. Ethan Mbappe, you've got to welcome with open arms. But if Maxim Lopez comes, after the number of times he's pretty much shut the door on the Algerian team, I think there's going to be a lot of question marks over what is our national team becoming. Now listen, I am the first pro-voice all for anyone with any droplet of Algerian blood, or any grandparent or maternal parent or whatever, to come and play for us, because I am all for the team being better, having the best players, giving you the best opportunities of winning football matches, winning trophies. That's what it's got to be all about for me. But where do you draw the line? Andy Delors coming along, people were against that when it happened, and I backed him publicly. He ended up being crucial in the AFCON campaign, scoring that penalty in the shootout, ended up winning the whole thing. That could be the difference. Now, Maxim Lopez, I'm sure, is not going to play in AFCON, neither is Ethan Mbappe, so this is very much because we're in the World Cup. Let's get this right, and we've predicted this. These guys are talking to us now because we're in the World Cup. If we did not make that World Cup, and you see what happened with Qatar, if we got to the World Cup in Qatar, you'd see Ait-Nouri and all these guys way years ago playing in that. There's an element here of you have to reward and be faithful to the guys that get you there, because you can't just bin everyone off that's got you to this tournament. You can't bin off guys that have played in AFCONs. You have to respect the guys that have got you there. You're going to create sort of disharmony in the camp if you start bringing in a bunch of guys who probably played the World Cup and he probably might not even come back after that. I mean, even with the AFCON, we didn't really see Andy Delors push on to what he could have been. And he ended up moving to Mouloudia and playing now in Ajaccio, what is it, the 9th, 10th tier of football in the French division. So I would say Ethan Mbappe would be really good, because that's someone you're getting for 8-10 years. Maxime Lopez, you probably get him for the World Cup and maybe one AFCON. Is there much point? I think ultimately we're talking about central midfield players here, and it's going to come down to how bad is our central midfield. Because I'm telling you now, if we have to go to a tournament with no Benassa and we have to play Zerouki and Zorgan and these guys, I get Maxime Lopez and Ethan Mbappe in there right here, right now. Trust me. But if you can put a Benassa and a Badawi and someone else in there, and maybe someone will come along like a Kadri or who knows, I'd rather that. So it's about striking the right balance, and no doubt these won't be the last names we hear linked ahead of the World Cup. AFCON, I think we pretty much know who's going to go to that, but post-AFCON, from next year, you're going to see people come from absolutely nowhere. I'll give you some predictions. Another Zidane's son might come. I could see that happening. It would not shock me at all if another one of Zidane's kids came along to our team. I mean, especially now you've got one in there, it's a lot easier to get another one. I could see anyone coming in from left field and staking their claim. Listen, if they're playing well for their club, you can't really argue against it. But if you're getting people that have not played club football all season, it's a different question. So, Ethan Mbappe, Maxime Lopez, let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.